All right, and welcome into the next edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. I am sitting here in studio, Han style, solo. Nobody is with me in the studio. It's very weird looking at three empty chairs, but don't worry, you don't have to listen to just me dribble on for the next however long. Token Tony's on the phone, sitting on his couch, probably in his underpants, watching some college basketball, flipping back and forth. What's up, Token Tone?
Not much. Yeah, just degenerating it up this weekend.
Yeah, he's probably got his
as a lot of people in Vegas are.
One thumb on the remote and one thumb on your William Hill account. One thumb up your butt.
Yeah, because I have three fucking thumbs, yeah. or Spike would say, I have a fourth one somewhere. Or whatever.
Yeah, so yesterday was the first day of March Madness, the official 64-man bracket. And we had the upsets, and of course we had, some of the chalk winning, but some of the upsets may or may not have been some of the expected ones. I would like to tip my cap to myself for the Buffalo upset. I didn't quite come to say that they were going to upset, but I took the 8.5 on the last podcast and said that and I wouldn't be shocked if they beat them. So a little tip of the cap to me on that one. But other than that, I mean, that and Loyola, everything else pretty much ran chalky. Loyola with that last second three, that bomb from deep was pretty sweet, though.
Yeah, that was a very interesting game. I was around the strip when that game was going on, and just so you could hear complete mayhem of who was on what side, and because it came pretty close to the spread on that game too.
Yeah. Well, I think it was
some people were taking the money line in that game too. So.
Well, the thing is, if he misses that, the spread was still 2, so Loyola would have covered.
It would have been pushed.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
It would have covered because they were down by 1, and he hits the dagger, which was pretty sick to win out.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Sick ending. Yeah, that's made for a hell of a game though. Yeah, that region out of my bracket's completely fucked up because I have Arizona making the Final Four out of that one. So, as I know a few other people had as well. So.
Yeah, how many people still have a perfect bracket, you think?
I saw a report that said 303.
On the ESPN ones?
Yeah, I think it was ESPN and CBS combined.
Wow, 303 brackets. Yeah, Arizona was just in everybody's.
And that's after 16 games out of the first 32.
Yeah, I have. That's after the first day. Luckily, I did have Arizona in my bracket. I'm looking at it. As much as I talk shit about Buffalo beating them, I still took Arizona. But the good thing is I have Kentucky in the Sweet 16, so that gives me it makes me feel good right there, not having to lose one of my Sweet 16 teams because I think Kentucky will beat Buffalo. Ultimately. I did. Yeah,
actually,
I did lose my Sweet 16.
Actually, everybody that did our bracket challenge has their champion still alive as of right now.
Well, I would imagine so. I don't think anybody took Arizona as the champion. I think you have what? Villanova?
Kansas.
You have Kansas. I have Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think Spike had Texas Tech. And who does the producer have?
Xavier.
Xavier. So we got a 1, a 1, a 2, and a 3. So
that's realistic.
After the first 2 days, if you still have your champion, life's not so bad, right?
Yeah, it could always be worse.
My Elite Eight's still intact. My Final Four's still intact. So I still feel okay.
Yeah, you're looking a lot better than me, even though I have more wins right now.
Yeah, I thought St. Bonnie would. I thought St. Bonnie would get them, but they didn't. But I lost 1, 2.
Yeah, that was another game that came down the wire as well.
Yeah, so I got 15 out of 16 teams. Yeah, I'm still okay. I thought Oklahoma would do it, and then overtime they just shut down. But
yeah,
I actually, to be honest with you, I thought Oklahoma would get kind of pushed in there by the referees. I watched the end of that game.
That's what I was going towards as well. I didn't touch the game. I kind of like Rhode Island with the spread, but I just couldn't lay it just based on that fact alone.
I just felt something fishy was going on there, and I really thought the committee was like, we don't want the most recognizable player in college basketball to be done after Thursday. I really thought it felt like that at the end of the game because Oklahoma should not even have gone to overtime, in my opinion. So.
No, I agree with that as well.
Oh man, I thought I picked Seton Hall. Damn, I bricked. Oh well, that's all right. We're still in good shape here.
I took Seton Hall on that one.
I won't be completely fucked until the end of Friday night. So. Watch Cincinnati will go down today. I'll lose Michigan State, and Villanova will, they'll forget to get off the bus and have to forfeit their game or something. So.
Well, probably about 85% of the people I have Michigan State today, but I have them not making a deep run as everybody else. Actually, 97% on the CBS app.
Anyway,
I had them advancing.
Well, this is the Vegas Squares podcast. We thank you very much for tuning in. It's myself and Token Tony on the phone today. We're just chatting about, so far, the mayhem that has ensued. We appreciate you listening. Again, like I said, you can catch us in every podcast on our website, vegassquares.com. You can also listen to us live on 12 Ounce Sports Radio every Tuesday night and Saturday mornings. Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can also catch us on the Forward Mile Podcast Network. Check out the guys over there at forwardmile.com. Subscribe to their service, and you can listen to our voice and hear us cry over our brackets.
Or just degenerate up with anything that's going on, whether it be in town or whether it be overseas or anything else.
What the hell you?
I mean, like I was mentioning to you, like I was mentioning to her earlier today, I had a couple of horses for Kentucky Derby already. So
that thing's not till May, right?
I know. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're awake at 3:30 in the morning looking on your William Hill account and be like, what the fuck? Why not?
I don't think I've ever had the WTF moment with horse betting, but I can see where your head was at.
Well, what? Remember that bet I had for Daytona 500 and never bet NASCAR before? I took a long shot. You finished second. Gave me a little sweat for $5, so.
I can tell you what, man. Coors Light at that hour does things to a man, so you got to be careful. Too many Coors Lights does things to a man.
I was thinking about drinking last night. I actually did not.
Good for you. You had to be sharp for your DGen today, so.
Yeah. Wanted to be fresh for today.
So let's look
Friday.
Let's look at our brackets. You got, UVA, a couple of things. What are you firing on today?
I did take a few underdogs. I did take TS Fullerton against Purdue plus the 20.5. I do have Florida State as well, as I know you do. I also took Kansas State in a few round robin parlays.
Yeah, I went Florida State myself with them. I just think Missouri's got too many distractions and issues going on.
I did, even though I have Wichita State winning this game in the bracket, I took Marshall plus, 13.5.
Yeah, it's probably a good bet.
It's either, I have Wichita State winning, but I don't have them covering today.
So last time,
a few little stuff like that. Butler's another decent pick.
Last time we did the podcast, in between then and now, Virginia lost a guy to a broken hand. How do you think that affects their run to the Final Four? I mean, obviously they're probably going to get past Umbuk and maybe even the second round. But I think once you get into like Kentucky's of the world and Tennessee, maybe Nevada, Cincinnati. Cincinnati's my champion. I mean, I still thought they had a pretty decently easy, road to get there. Do you think it became any harder with the injury?
I do think it became a decent amount harder. I do like your pick with Cincinnati a whole lot more now after that news came out. I do have them going to the Sweet 16 in mind, but losing to Arizona, which definitely won't happen this time around.
I have them going to the Sweet 16 as well, losing to Kentucky. So we will. I think that matchup becomes much more interesting, provided that Kentucky obviously takes care of its business against Buffalo, which I think they will. I mean, as much as Buffalo's riding high right now, the weekend during the tournament, the chalk usually comes through. So we'll see. You never know. I'm not counting Buffalo out.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see what the line.
I won't put it past Buffalo to win that game, but I mean, I've seen crazy shit happen in this tournament. So
that is
what else is new?
That is very true. You're right. You never know what could happen. They're giving Kentucky on 538. They're giving them a 71% chance to advance.
Oh, okay.
Against Buffalo, so that means Buffalo's got a 30% chance of getting by UK. So, I mean, UK's had their problems this year, so I'm not definitely feeling great about that situation.
I think Buffalo, looking at it against Arizona, they're a well-rounded team. They did their homework. They knew what they were coming into. They knew they had a good shot of keeping it a close game, if not winning, and they outperformed. They destroyed Arizona.
I think, to be honest with you, I think Arizona's just had such a tumultuous season, and then they got the two guys who were probably lottery picks who instantly declared for the draft. I think those guys were just like, you know what? If there's repercussions, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Let me go to make my money and deal with it. Then.
Yeah.
To me, that's what it seemed like. They just, how do you get beat by 20? I can see you getting upset. I'm not going to, nobody's going to hate on the fact that you got upset, but you got beat
by 21, yeah.
20 points, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, especially when you're, 8.5 point spread?
Something like that, yeah. I think it was, I think it finished at 9 or something.
Yeah, that's insane.
So Kentucky's opened up at a 6-point clip on that one.
I think that's realistic. I think that's right on the money how it ends, and Kentucky wins.
What do you think that would have been just in a regular game without the big upset of Arizona? Because I think they had to take it down just in case.
I would say it would be closer to 11 or 12.
That's what I was thinking too, double digits spread. But I still think I like Kentucky in that game with 6. I wonder if it'll go down. I'm going to kind of monitor that the rest of the day, but I think that's going to be a fire for me. So if you're listening to this Saturday broadcast, if it stays 6 or below, that's definitely a pick I'd like to be on if I were you. So that'll be my gift, hopefully, if it comes through. So that one.
What's your thoughts? Let's stay in the same region. The Loyola Chicago game and the Tennessee game. Spread on that one 6.
Loyola.
What's your thoughts?
Let me find it. Let me pull up the. I got the Vegas Insider right here. Looking at. You said it's 6.
Yeah, 6.
Why don't I see that? Where the freak is it? Oh, there it is. I got 6.5, 5.5 across the board. So let's call it 6. I think the same thing. Like I said, the weekends usually run chalk. Even in a situation like a 2-team couple point teaser in basketball, take those down 3 points, take those down to 3.5, 3. I think it's a good teasing bet, actually, to be honest with you.
Okay. Yeah, I actually kind of like Loyola Chicago in that one, though. I think they have a shot to win it outright. I think Tennessee's a little overrated at this point, and Loyola Chicago tend to have an upset in my mind.
They got one.
Yeah. What's another one? They call it March Madness for a reason.
Well, I'll tell you this: when one of my Final Four teams is an underdog in the second round, I'm going to also tell you to play them as well. I think Houston getting 3 points against Michigan. I'm going to take that as well. Looking at those, I like your Marshall pick with the 12. I forgot to tell you earlier with that. That region with Tennessee. Tennessee could make a pretty good run there if they can play against Cincinnati in the Sweet 16. Like I said, I like Cincinnati to win it all, but they're going to have to go. They have to go through a little bit. I think, like I said, I think Nevada or Texas, either one's going to be a pretty good battle for them.
Yeah, I took Texas in my bracket, but I'm leaning towards more Nevada right now.
Yeah, I took Nevada in that spot too. If Loyola Chicago can get to the Sweet 16, which means they get by Tennessee, if Cincinnati doesn't have a hard time, with Nevada or Texas, they can get to a Sweet 16 matchup. You don't want to disrespect any team, but obviously, if I'm Cincinnati, I'd rather see Loyola in the Sweet 16 than anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Well, by far, yeah. Tennessee, yeah.
Call it what it is. You don't want to see the big boy programs sometimes when you get that deep into the thing. These Cinderellas are great, and sometimes they still knock off these guys in the 16 and the 8, and they're still not taking them seriously. But you're always, as the program like that, gonna want to see the smaller teams.
Yeah, kind of like the Butler, the Daytons, the George Washingtons, and stuff like that.
Yeah, the George Mason from, what was that, 10 years ago or so.
2008, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, Dayton did it twice. VCU for a little while before they were on the map. I mean, Gonzaga used to be that Cinderella team too until they became Gonzaga.
Even Wichita State, you could have a case for that.
Yeah, Wichita
before
State.
They became more well known, I guess.
All right. So what you've seen now of the teams, I'll give you. You have Loyola, you have Buffalo, and so far, yeah, you have Loyola and Buffalo. If you had to pick which one was going to get further, which obviously they can't get past the Elite Eight, who do you got?
I have Loyola just because they have a more realistic shot of winning against Tennessee in my mind compared to Buffalo over Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, I think Loyola. I think I like Buffalo in the spot where they played on talent-wise in the paper a significantly better opponent than Loyola did. The question is what kind of opponent did they play? Because if their two best players checked out, I mean, that is such a weird domination of a game. I mean, we have upsets a lot. I mean, every year we have upsets in these, but they're buzzer beater style or they're like 2 or 3 point victories. That
was like just
21
domination,
points. I mean, it's an eye opener, dude.
Yeah, it was like what was on Arizona mind coming in almost, and I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, I mean, today's going to be a whole nother bag of worms. I can't wait to watch what's going on Friday, and then probably Saturday night or Sunday night we'll do another podcast here, and you can hear us on that one too, and we can talk, shed tears with each other about how our brackets got more and more fucked up.
Yep. Yeah, we actually have 2 games kicked off right now, and 14 more to go.
Providence still winning?
Yeah, they're up by 3 right now.
Cool beans. What else is playing?
3 with about 6 minutes left in the first half.
And
Purdue. Still early in the Purdue. Yeah, it's 1 point game, 5 minutes into the game.
You just convinced me. I just put in a bet on my William Hill account for Marshall, so I'll take it's up to 12.5 over there, so I will.
Oh, yeah. I put it in a couple round robins and parlays and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
I remember when we were doing our picks, I said that would be a close game. Marshall could have a shot to win, but I like Wichita State to win in a close game, 2 or 3 points. If I recall what I said was right.
I think you gave us an exact score on that one too, and we were kind of laughing at you.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we'll revisit after the first round matchups are complete, and maybe we'll redraft our bracket because I'm seeing a lot of red so far on some of mine, and looking at your all, you got about just as much red.
I'm seeing a lot of red on mine, especially towards the Final Four already.
I think I'm going to call my bracket Taylor Swift because I see X's everywhere. So.
I'm going to say mine's... I
thought that would hit better.
Mine's not looking pretty. It's like a mall. It's like party in the front and our business in the front, party in the back.
Oh, God, that was a terrible analogy for your bracket. All right, well, let's move into some football talk here. And obviously free agency hit about, 3 days ago or so? And 2 days ago?
Yeah, officially 2 days ago now, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the legal tampering started, the first of the week, but
yeah,
call it what it is. But what are we looking at here? I mean, there was some big money moved around a lot of places. Kirk Cousins got the money. We took a poll question before he actually signed. I don't know if you saw it on our Twitter at vegassquares.com. You can follow us there. I set the line at $29.9 million average annual value because I actually thought he would sign for 30 and I wanted to be on the over, but ended up being right around
under.
Yeah, it ended up being under right around, what was it, 84 over 3?
Yeah, so it was an average of $28 million per year.
Yeah, so 84. Yep, you're right. 84 over 3 is $28 million a year, so it's
and it's all guaranteed money too. So.
Yeah, it's a guaranteed contract, first guaranteed contract, or first contract to guarantee the entire amount, I believe, in NFL history. So that's
Yeah,
Definitely.
if not, it's the most well-known one by far.
Right. So, I mean, that could be definitely a stepping stone for a lot of these free agents who are coming, up in the next coming couple years. He's kind of the barometer at that point, especially a lot of quarterbacks, like Aaron Rodgers coming up in the next couple years, Brady's coming up, in 2020 if he still wants to play. So that'll make for interesting.
I'm sure I definitely see talks happening with that. With Rodgers, I could see him landing a bigger contract due to the Cousins contract, especially guaranteed money.
What do you make of Richard Sherman? Basically, like he's been gone from Seattle for what 3 days, and he's already like throwing haymakers at his former franchise, basically saying, what was he saying?
Saying they couldn't match his money and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, you get he was kind of bad mouthing Pete Carroll, saying his style was more fit for college. Like he doesn't know how to run an NFL franchise or how they how to value their players. And I'm sitting here thinking, guy won a Super Bowl, and went to another one.
Yeah.
It was one play away from winning his second Super Bowl. I think Pete Carroll knows how to run a franchise.
I think so too. I think it was just heat of the moment stuff. I think in his mind, Seattle betrayed him, especially with news that they came out with was like, "Oh, we're not going to resign him, but he'll always be a Seahawk for life." And yeah, it's not you, it's us.
Well, I mean,
kind of like that mentality.
The NFL, you got to kind of treat it like that. I mean, these guys, the average shelf life of a lot of guys in the league, the guys you don't necessarily become, long-term superstars is about 3, 4, 5 years. So, I mean, taking that mentality, to max out your value on a guy for, 3, 4, 5 years, it makes the most sense. I mean, Richard Sherman's been one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL for last 6, 7 years, roughly. I mean, since 2000, probably like 11.
I would say around that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming off of a serious Achilles injury. He's 32, 31 years old, or no, he's 30. Excuse me, he's 30 this month. He turned 30 in March, actually this month. So you're a 30-year-old corner coming off an Achilles injury. I mean, you take your chance with $13 million. Maybe, you got a guy behind him like Shaquille Griffin from UCF who may be able to take his spot, and the guy's probably 7, 8 years younger than him, who's making a lot less.
Yeah, and freeing a lot more cap space.
Exactly. I mean, you got Michael Bennett, who was traded. He's 32. Now, granted, he still had a pretty productive season last year with 8.5 sacks. Cam Chancellor, who's 30 and has a serious neck injury. Cliff Averill, who has a serious injury problem, who's 31, who's probably not being re-signed. I mean, yes, this is your core, but your core your core was around for 5, 6 years. The Legion of Boom felt like they were around for a while. And, you got a Super Bowl at it. You almost got 2. They got what they could out of that. I mean, the NFL is a constant cyclical process where, these guys, you got to get the money when you can, and some of them did, and some of them didn't. Richard Sherman made $13 million plus the last 3 seasons. I mean, and he's going to make $13 million plus the next 3 if he lives up to the contract that he signed in San Francisco, which we talked about that probably won't happen. But the fact of the matter is you don't want to say these guys are a dime a dozen because some are definitely a lot better than others, and and that's the thing. I mean, you take while these guys are in their core and becoming superstars, you take the other guys, you learn behind them, you sit there, you watch, you practice, you rep, you play in some games, and then when it's your turn to step up, they get rid of the superstar. When that's the beauty of the NFL. You got to be consistently good for a long time. I mean, I hate to use the analogy because everybody's Brady, but guys like Brady, he's consistently had guys breathing down his neck, ready to take his job, including his head coach was ready to trade him as well, but he continues to shine. Not everybody can do that. If Brady has 6 or 7 injuries that kept him out of some games, he'd probably been gone by now too. But it's a combination of skill, luck, and timing.
Oh, absolutely. Especially that timing factor, I would say, is most key when it comes down to free agent markets as well as drafting and all that. I mean,
and I can tell you, pretty much if Sherman was making half of what he was getting paid, he'd still be in Seattle if he was willing to take a pay cut or any of those kind of situations. But I have a hard time believing he was willing to do that. So they did what they had to do.
I know he wasn't going to.
Right. So, I mean, you got to do what you got to do as a business, and he's got to do what he's got to do as a person who wants to maximize himself. But, you know, it is what it is. So.
Yeah. Well, I know the Lions talked with him before he finalized and committed with the 49ers, and I'm like, I hope we don't get him just have another free agent or another big contract with a player that we don't need.
Well, I mean, looking at the actual contract with the incentives that, you know, I don't think Richard Sherman will ever hit, he may actually become fairly, valuable to San Francisco, because, you know, what he can offer for what they may or may not have to pay him. If they end up having to pay him the entirety of his contract because of the incentives, then that means he got back to his elite status and had some of the most impressive years from cornerbacks. And you know what? And then at the end of that, the money's worth it. But
absolutely, yeah.
He ends up being a bargain if he doesn't live up to these contract, you know, to some of the incentives that he needs. And, you know, they take a shot with a guy. So, you know, he became his own agent in that negotiation and kind of screwed himself. But you know what? Whatever. You know, he yaps enough. I don't give a fucking shit what he does. So, I'm glad the Patriots didn't take a look at him, and because clearly he's clearly unclassy. He's been gone for 2 days, you know, and already bad mouthing his old team. So, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just a headache waiting to happen, and
yeah,
looks like L.A. and San Francisco are getting all those problem child players.
Yeah, his quote was, "Maybe this guy is going to be the next." He said, "They say maybe the guy is going to be the next guy," instead of saying, "Hey, you have Hall of Fame talent in your secondary. How about you ride this out?" I don't think you understand. Like, coaches, yes, because Pete Carroll won a Super Bowl, but you know what? He missed the playoffs this year. He misses the next year, and then suddenly he's on the hot seat. You know, guys in the NFL, especially coaches, don't have time to wait this out. You know, your guys are getting old. It's time to move on. He's got a job. He's got to put the best pieces in place, and so does Schneider, I think, is the general manager. Like, you don't ride things out in the NFL, you know, especially a guy coming off an Achilles injury who wants to get paid $13 million a year. So,
you know, well, the contract seems realistic if he performs up to it. Well,
that's what I'm saying.
It's all incentive based. So
it wasn't incentive. He was getting paid that in Seattle, and Seattle had an out, and they took it. And if he was willing to restructure, like I said, $6.5–7 million, he'd be there. But he's not. So because you know, for being a Stanford guy, he's not the smartest, you know, fucker. So
no.
But yeah, I mean, there was some. Obviously, we talked about Kirk Cousins, Drew Brees. We thought, you know, could answer some calls. You know, I think once they heard that, you know, a couple teams were interested in throwing some money at him, the Saints locked him up real quick to a 2-year, $50 million deal, which is right around where I thought he would, you know, go.
Yeah, I thought he would keep it enough money for him, but also have enough cap space to work around too. So
I got a question for you. Like, so with the Kirk Cousins, obviously he's the belle of the ball, but you know, I look at, you know, what Case Keenum did last year, and he went to the Broncos, you know, and I like that move for them at the price, you know, that they paid. I kind of look at the Vikings, you know, with the 3 quarterbacks they had, the window that they have. I mean, in your opinion, does Kirk Cousins make the Vikings better than they were yesterday? Meaning, like, the day before they signed him.
Oh, before, like, all the free agents become free agents and all that.
I'm just saying, like, when I say yesterday, when I mean, like, okay, you could have re-signed you could have re-signed Case Keenum. And, you know, and built on, you know, your NFC Championship appearance. I mean, to me, when you sign a guy, you just got beat in the NFC Championship game, which means you made it to the title game in your conference. I mean, you're putting $84 million on a guy, which is fully guaranteed, which is fine. But it's basically Super Bowl or bust now for Minnesota.
Absolutely, yeah. And in my mind, with Cousins as their quarterback, it seems more like a bust to me. I think Keenum was more of the safe route. He had the talent to get them to that step.
Well, I'm not saying Kirk was a bad signing. I'm just saying that's an intense amount of added pressure that they just put on Kirk Cousins, because, you know, they gave him the guaranteed money, they gave him the deal. He's going to Minnesota from a team that, you know, you play that game against Philadelphia 10 times. I think Minnesota probably wins half of them, you know, in the NFC title game. And now I think it's Super Bowl. If he doesn't win a Super Bowl in 3 years, I think it's a bad deal. And overall, I don't think it's a bad deal, because I think was the best quarterback on the market. But I think
Yeah.
I think that you should. I think for half the price, you could have let Keenum finish the job. And for me, in my opinion, now if Kirk Cousins does not win it in the first 3 years, he is considered considered a terrible signing in my opinion for the Vikings, and that could cost Mike Zimmer his job. It could cost Mike Zimmer his job.
I would say even if they get to the NFL or the NFC Championship game, that'd be a win in my book for signing Kirk.
They did that with Keenum. I mean, this is the time to pounce because Chicago's not any better, even though they signed Allen Robinson and Trey Burton. They're not any better than they were yesterday. Green Bay, even though they signed Jimmy Graham, I don't think they're better than they were yesterday, considering they lost Jordy Nelson. And Detroit, well, I'll let you know that. They're not any better than they were yesterday.
Well, the Detroit's a dumpster fire and some, so.
Exactly. So I think, I guess that's their mentality is we've probably got 2 years. I think the first 2 years they're just going all in for it. And if the third year they'll give it a shot. But if it's not, I think it's hard to say it's a bust signing. It really is. I mean, I can't say that completely straight face.
They're risking it for the biscuit, and it seems like it's a bust. Yeah,
risk it for the biscuit. There you go. Hashtag risk it for the biscuit. So that's what they're going all in on it. So yeah, you're right. Sammy Watkins goes to the Chiefs. Another little toy for Pat Mahomes. So we'll see about that. I don't know. To me, $48 million with $30 million guaranteed for a guy who can't stay on the field, even though he's only 24 years old. It doesn't seem that. I don't know. I think that Tyreek Hill proved you don't need the splashy wide receiver. I mean, I think you build from the inside out, not the outside in, and I don't know if Sammy Watkins is going to make too much of a difference there. So that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I think it's a piece that they kind of needed, whether it was the right piece or not. But I don't know.
Yeah, what do you think about the all the free agents leaving New England? You got Butler, Solder, Dion Lewis, Amendola. Everybody, I read the message boards in the Patriots or on Facebook, and everybody's like, nobody wants to play for Bill anymore after Malcolm Butler. Was benched in the Super Bowl. Bill's losing his touch. The message is. I was just sitting there thinking, okay, these guys all, made little to no money. They've won their rings with Brady and company, and now they're ready to get paid. Malcolm Butler's the only one I can understand having a complete beef with. But there was no way. From what I understand, New England offered him a similar contract last year, and he turned it down. So if that's the case, the only thing it was he needed a change of scenery at that point. But, I mean, Amendola, has played on restructured contracts for 3 years. He got 2 Super Bowls. I don't blame him for going and getting his money. That's where I see. There was no salary cap space in New England, and guys went and got their money. So,
no, I agree with that. Just people at the same time hit all the free agent markets and went out there and see what they can get, and they got what they wanted.
So I want to preface this by saying Spike and I made a prop bet on Teddy Bridgewater. And
yes.
And I would like to, at first when I texted him, I said that he had lost the bet because the contract was for 1 year and $5 million, which is true. However,
yes,
there is incentives in the contract that can bring it up to $15 million. So,
well, the bet that you guys had was over under 18.5 for first year.
Oh, was it 18.5?
18.5 is the number that you guys came up.
Oh, well then fuck it. I thought it was 12. Okay, never mind. Well then, fuck off, Spike.
It was 18.5. I have it on my post-it note.
Okay, fair enough. Then I changed my tune. Spike, you lose. Pay up, fucker. And I will come collect for that one because I thought it was.
And then another one you guys had was McCarron or Bridgewater worth more. And then DeMarco Murray for $4 million per year.
He hasn't signed yet. Right?
Spike with the under. What?
DeMarco Murray hasn't signed yet, has he?
Not yet, but that's another one for your bets to keep an eye on.
What was the AJ McCarron one? I don't remember that one.
Who'd be worth more? Well, I think
McCarron signed, didn't he?
Bridgewater.
McCarron signed a deal, didn't he? What did he sign? Like 2 years, $16 million or something like that?
I think so.
So technically, McCarron's getting more per year in guaranteed money, I think.
Yes.
So, damn, I won that one too, sweeping the board.
Well, just become a curler with all the
sweeping I did.
Sweeping you've been doing. Yep.
All right, let me. I'm gonna look it up because I think you're right. It's let's see. He signed a 2-year, $10 million contract. So that's technically $5 million a year. So that's technically a push, isn't it?
I would say it's pushed on you.
Yeah, we're gonna push that. He signs a 2-year, $10 million contract with the Bills that includes another $6.5 million in available incentive bonuses. So, yeah, I'm gonna call that one a push. Yeah, that's a push.
All right, Spike, you're only down one then. One bet for now.
Is AJ McCarron still married to that hot chick? What's her face? I remember. You remember her when he was in college and she was like all over the telecast and Brett Musburger was getting chubs and stuff.
Yeah.
What's her name? Fuck. AJ McCarron. What? Catherine Webb. That's her name. I just googled her. It's
okay.
AJ McCarron's wife. Miss Alabama. She was Miss Alabama in 2012, and she was perhaps, as her Wikipedia page, Miss Alabama in 2012, and best known for her appearance in the stands during the broadcast of the 2013 National Championship game. That's her best known asset. Hey, whatever works, right?
Could be worse. Yeah.
I remember the chick who was in the Florida State games, Jen, whatever her name was, and there was a smoking hot chick in the Florida State games, and she parlayed it into a broadcasting career. That was the girl who Brett Favre sent his dick pics to. You remember that girl?
Yeah.
That's all you gotta do is look hot and stand in the stands, and they'll find you.
Yeah, I see a report that the Jets tried to get Cousins for $30 million per year, but he turned them down for the Minnesota gig.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I would too at that point.
I mean, difference of two, you're probably going to get taxed about the same amount.
What do you think about
down to the same amount with the New York cost of living and all that too? So,
what do you think? I'm coming up on this article here. What do you think about the possibility, in air quotes, that no one is signing any free agents that took a knee during the season? So far, there's Kenny Vaccaro, Tyrann Mathieu, Earl Thomas, Eric Reed, and Colin Kaepernick are all unsigned right now at this point. And all of those are definitely known for taking a knee, in games or during the anthem. What do you think about that?
I think you might see a couple of them being signed after the draft, but I see not all of them being signed.
I could see Eric Reed being signed. He's still a pretty quality safety. But other than that, I mean, Earl Thomas is technically still under contract, but I think the Seahawks are trying to ship him out along with the rest of the Legion of Boom. But I mean, Tyrann Mathieu seems like he's hurt every year. Kenny Vaccaro, I don't know if he's that great. You're right. He doesn't necessarily strike me as the first wave of free agents to sign.
I could see him maybe being with a practice squad or something if somebody does want to pick him up that way, and if he does agree to that.
Well, do you think in your mind that teams are just not looking at him right now, or teams are absolutely just looking the other way because of what they did? I mean, they couldn't really do anything in the season. These guys were under contract. They had to play. But now that they're free agents, and we all know that the owners don't care for this situation because it creates discomfort between the fans who support them and the fans who are against the anthem stuff.
I think as of right now, it's more based on the performance than what the situation on the field happened. But in my mind, if they weren't the elite cream of the crop free agent, which they weren't, that's the reason why they're still not signed right now. And them taking a knee on the field does have a little extra to do with it. You're going to see after the draft, maybe some teams meet with them, try and talk a deal with them, but they might just do that for show and send them off without even an offer. So
it's true. How about
I mean, I could see a couple being on offer practice squad position, and if they take it, they do. If not, they don't. I don't know.
What do you think about Arizona getting Glennon and Bradford. Good God.
I thought Seattle was the worst team in that division at the moment, and I think it still might be Arizona.
I mean, I'm looking at, obviously they didn't get out, they didn't get Kirk Cousins, and obviously they didn't get Drew Brees, but I thought A.J. McCarron would be a good spot there, or even, to be completely honest with you, like Brock Osweiler or something, dude, it's like...
Yeah.
Osweiler,
you got two injury-prone players that probably will be lucky to see a third of the season put together, if not each. And plus, they lost to Adrian Peterson too while they released him. So,
yeah, but I mean that's he didn't do anything. Plus, I got David Johnson coming back. But I mean, you look at it. Okay, so them signing Bradford for $20 million and Glennon for I don't know what they exactly got for him. And
probably too much.
I think they picked number 15 or 14 in the draft. I mean, they're not high enough to get like the coveted. Darnold's, Rosen's, maybe even like Josh Allen's. They're in kind of no man's land here.
Yeah, they either want to maybe trade up or maybe want to trade down and still get somebody that's decent and a little extra juice with the pick.
I mean, do you think they could stay put and just take Baker at 15? Or I can't see them going Lamar Jackson. It doesn't really fit their style. But, I mean, their style's been Carson Palmer.
I would say Baker's the
5 years.
safer pick, but do you really take him at 15? I mean, you could probably trade down a little and still be able to get him.
Maybe.
In my mind.
He's the one who's all over the board, him and Lamar Jackson. They're going.
Yeah, I see him as high as 8 or 7, and I see him as going late in the first round,
I see him as low as late second. I mean, I see Lamar Jackson as low as 3rd and 4th. I mean, these guys are so variable all over the board. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, in your mind, come draft day, who would you take, Baker or Lamar?
It depends on what I want to run. I would probably take Lamar Jackson because he's taller, faster, and he's got a better arm. But I mean,
yeah, I would go the opposite way because I like Baker Mayfield's football IQ. I think his on the field mentality, his thought process, and all that is a whole lot stronger to make a different case in my mind.
Yeah, I think both are good descriptions of the quarterback that we would pick, but I have to say that I feel like what Lamar Jackson can bring to the table cannot be taught, and I think what Baker Mayfield brings to the table can be taught. What do you think about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can teach somebody, a lot of the football IQ. So somebody can develop that while they play the game or while they're in practice. Baker Mayfield, while he's quick, I don't think he's as fast as Lamar Jackson. While he's big, he's not as big as
Lamar's
Jackson.
A little faster, yeah.
Lamar's faster, Lamar's bigger, and Lamar's definitely stronger. And yes, there are some off-the-field issues with Baker Mayfield, his comparisons to Johnny Manziel, and I don't think that's going to be a problem because Baker Mayfield has this precedence in front of him of Johnny Manziel of what not to do. And I don't think...
Yeah, he kind of set the bar what not to do stupid and...
Well, that plus I think that Baker Mayfield doesn't have the mental instability like Johnny had as well. Because Johnny Manziel was a trust fund baby who got everything in life and went to the school, became the man, blah, 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 won his Heisman, and then just still had that mentality in the NFL, like, I don't have to work, they're just going to give it to me. I mean, Baker Mayfield has walked onto two different college teams, has been a walk-on in 2 different schools, and wasn't given anything to him. He had to earn everything, and then he won a Heisman. I think he's got that hard work ethic that'll make him a good quarterback. If I'm developing a quarterback, I want the guy who's bigger, stronger, and faster because I can teach him and I can mold him, even if he's not football savvy in the IQ, I can mold him to my offense. Versus the guy who may not be able to do this. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield's the wrong pick. I'm just explaining why, in my opinion, if I'm a coach or a coordinator, I can teach Lamar Jackson, and I think that those two guys got to go to positions where they don't play right away, or got to go to franchises where they don't play right away.
Or they have some time to develop, whether it's a year or maybe 2.
Yeah, and I think like not Teddy, but I think Lamar Jackson going to the Jets would be a good spot. If the Jets don't take a quarterback first, they could, use him, have Bridgewater teach him, get him to what you want. Arizona obviously is, based on the fact that they just signed $20 million, they spent $20 million on Sam Bradford for 5 games maybe. I think that, how the hell does he keep getting fucking contracts? That's my thing.
I have no idea.
He's got to be like one of the like highest paid do nothing people in the NFL.
Yeah, I wonder how much he has been paid and how many games he has actually played in, and what that contrast per game.
He was the first pick in 2008, before the rookie wage scale took effect. So I think that was like the 2011. That was whenever Cam Newton was the first one to be a part of the rookie wage scale as the number 1 pick, and then he earned. Oh, here I got it. Forbes. I was looking it up. He has earned $129 million in 10 years to be completely underwhelming. I guess is the word to put it.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice on words. But yes, I agree with that statement 100%. It just blows my mind how much he has gotten paid and how much he has produced / played in games.
I mean, his knees have been classified they had the degenerate, he has degenerative knee conditions. I mean, I can understand if you want this guy on your team, but I mean, I have a feeling like Bradford walked in, he's like, hey, what's going on, everybody? He meets with the Bidwells and whatever, and he's like, I just, like to be a part of the franchise. Maybe I know that, I haven't played a full NFL season since 2012, and I haven't played in a meaningful NFL game probably in my life, and looking to just be a part of a franchise who wants me here. And whatever he said, they were like, "Yeah, here's $20 million, bro." Like, what the fuck? Like, I can't imagine that he would have I can't imagine that Sam Bradford walks in the door and they say 10.5 or 11 million, and he's like, balks and walks away. Like, I can't imagine. And even if he does, let him go.
Yeah. I mean, he's got 80 career games that he's played in.
I mean, he's not elite. He was never elite.
No.
I mean, he was always a pretty accurate quarterback. And, he was just, he was drafted in 2010, excuse me. Yeah, he was drafted
2010 by St. Louis, yeah.
He was drafted the year before the collective bargaining agreement locked rookies into a pay scale. So, yep. So he got a 6-year, $78 million contract when he first got into the league. So he had 5 seasons with the Rams.
Was 5 years.
Yep. So his total earnings with the member of the Rams, he got $65 million of that $78 million.
Jeez.
He then in 2015 they traded him to the Eagles, where he signed a 1-year or 2-year deal for $30 million, 18 of it guaranteed, an $11 million signing bonus, and then he got traded. So he earned 24 million from the Eagles. So where are we at here? If you're following along at home, that's 89.
So 2015,
89 million by 2015, and in 2016 he was traded.
Minnesota.
Yep. And then he made $25 million from the Vikings during his time there. So that's 89, 99.
So that's 114.
114. And he just signed a $20 million contract, 15 of it's guaranteed, bringing his total up to $129 million.
Jeez. And he's played 80 career games. So average per game, you're looking at $1.5 million that he's earned for a game that he's played in.
For a guy who has a career passer rating of 85, he's injured every year, and he has no arm strength.
I say he's winning.
You know who I'd like to be? I'd like to be his agent. Because for whatever reason, he doesn't have to do anything. I mean, he was average at best in St. Louis, and they traded a first-round pick to get him in Philadelphia. I think they traded 2 first-round picks to get him in Philadelphia.
I think so, yeah.
And then he was average in Philadelphia, and then they traded the Vikings traded a first round pick to get to him to get him to Minnesota, and then he does nothing in Minnesota, and then he gets a $20 million 1 year deal. It's just amazing to me. I mean, he is an anomaly. You know, I can see why guys. I get it. I can see why guys like Richard Sherman are pissed off when they get cut. This is a shining example.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Well, I'm looking at his career stats, and it has a picture of his face, and it's like he looks like kind of cross-eyed and has like a real smirky look. It's probably from all his injuries.
I tell you what, it is good to be Sam Bradford. I'll tell you that.
Hey, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. And if it's broke, pay him too much money.
You think with the Browns signing Carlos Hyde, you think they'll still go after Saquon? You think they'll still go after Barkley?
Oh, I'd be surprised if they don't. I mean,
if they sign Carlos Hyde, now they got the 1 and the 4 still. I mean,
yeah.
you can take him 1, or you can risk him not going to Indianapolis, which I think he should go to, or the Giants, which he could go to.
Yeah. Yeah. If they don't give him first pick, he's probably going to Indy as the second overall pick, unless if Cleveland trades away that first pick, which I can see more of a possibility now if they get the right deal with it.
Well, if they like Barkley, they're not trading that pick because they're not guaranteeing that he'll be there at 4. You know,
I know.
I think if they like a quarterback, you know, because they still have Tyrod Taylor at this point as their offensive weapon. So if they like a quarterback, they can get one at 4. Basically, you know, I think that, you know, if they like all 3 of them, Rosen, Darnold, and Josh Allen, they figure if they draft Barkley one of them is going to be there at 4. So that's absolutely a scenario where they
win-win situation, yeah.
Because Tyrod's playing this year. That's the good thing for the Browns is Tyrod's playing this year, so they have a full year to get this guy ready, you know, whoever it is. And everybody keeps telling me, you know, Darnold needs to play now, Rosen needs to play now. Well, you know what? If you have a chance to knock him now and get him in there, if you have a guy who's ready to play now and you can still mold him for a year, then that's even better for you. So,
I absolutely agree with that statement. Yeah, in my mind, hopefully Tyrod stays healthy and plays a full season. Cleveland and their nightmares somewhat over with that, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's fair. So, you know, I'm wondering how not Isaiah Crowell, but what do we say, Carlos Hyde's, you know, I think they still go after Barkley, and if they're smart. And to be honest with you, I mean, they could draft Barkley, and if they like one of the other guys, they could use that 4th pick, you know, package a deal together and trade back up to 2 or 3. You know, I know it sounds crazy to go for 1 pick, but, you know, if the Colts don't have any interest in a quarterback, or if the Giants don't, they go get the number 4 pick, trade back, get some assets, and still maybe pick whatever they want it, you know, whatever they want to do it for. So, you know, because to move up 1 pick, I mean,
whether it's offensive lineman or like a defensive tackle or something.
Yeah, I mean, they look what Chicago gave up last year to move up 1 pick, you know. So
yeah, that was ridiculous what they did.
There's a bar set for something like that. But if they I mean, could you imagine Cleveland? I'd say, you know, Cleveland takes their 1st this year, their 1st next year, their 2nd this year, and like a 3rd, and goes up to number 2 and gets Barkley and Darnold. I mean, Jesus,
that'd be a win in their book. Yeah,
they'd have Jarvis Landry, Josh Gordon, Carlos Hyde, Saquon Barkley, Tyrod running the show for a year, and then all those weapons for Sam Darnold. I mean, Cleveland may not be a laughingstock for too long if they do that.
Yeah, especially at the division, seems like they can go almost any team's way.
It can go either way, right?
In my mind.
But, I mean, can you imagine landing, you know, that would be an A-plus draft. Can you imagine landing the best player in the draft, consensus by all the experts, and the best quarterback, most pro-ready quarterback by the consensus of all the experts? I mean, that's a win-win right there. I'd give up all the rest of my picks for that. I'd make 1 and 2 and then
absolutely
make 1 and 2 and go home for the weekend.
Yeah, job's done. We won. I mean, a game at least.
I would feel really great if I was what's his name, Dorsey, and I walked in there, drafted Saquon Barkley, traded up to the number 2 pick or number 3, depending who you like, Allen or Rosen. Rosen. I think if you like Allen, I think you can stay at 4 because worst case you're going to get him, and if you don't, you're going to get someone you may like just as much or better in Rosen or Darnold. But I'd say if you really feel that the Giants or the Colts or someone can swoop in, that's the other thing. If I think someone can swoop in and undercut me, I just trade my 1, my next year's 1, my 2 this year, and maybe a 3rd and maybe a 5th or whatever, and just take the 2 picks and tell my assistant GM, I'm going to the pool.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That'd be an interesting theory on draft day. But I think, if you like Darnold that much, take Saquon and jump up and get Darnold too at the number 2 pick, and give up.
I would see that as a very strong possibility, and at this point, you almost have to, if you're Cleveland, to try and attempt something like that. I mean, as crazy as it might sound,
how bad could it be? I mean, if you suck, you're still the Browns. I mean, at least give your fans hope. You got the best player on the draft.
You can't be worse than last year.
That's
you can't be worse than last
year. If
you
win one game, you're a 100% increase from last year. You increase your win total 100%. So, yeah, you can't hate that. So I would. I'd give it a shot.
As right now, before draft day, I actually have them winning 1, maybe 2 games this year. So
yeah, I can't see them going 0-16 2 games in a row. So I think Tyrod Taylor's good enough to win a game or 2.
Yeah,
by himself. So yeah, that'll definitely help him. Damn, Paul Richardson got $8 million a year. That's impressive. So, anyways, any other signings caught your eye as far as free agents who went somewhere or still haven't gone anywhere yet?
Kind of one of the ones that caught my eye was a former Lion, Ndamukong Suh. Was released by the Dolphins. Yeah. Can't even say it once, goddammit.
Yeah, he's on that big ass deal, 3-4 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, he wanted a big deal, and the Lions made him offer, and Miami made him a higher offer, and I was actually happy to see him go, as bad as that sounded.
Well,
because it was he was asking way too much money, and you wouldn't even know if he'd be able to play a full season with all his issues on the field.
Right. Well, I mean, he can't stay on the damn field, getting suspended and everything. So.
Yeah, I will say he's a hell of a player, but is it really worth that risk-reward factor?
That is a good question. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I had to yawn.
Yeah, very good. One player that I'm happy to see on the free agent market, but I'd rather see him be traded, was Eric Ebron. So.
Yeah, I know you were texting me about that. You're like, Ebron needs to go.
Yep.
You were saying you wanted to sign Jimmy Graham, though. Like, do you think Jimmy Graham's got anything left in the tank?
What was that about Jimmy?
Do you think Jimmy Graham has anything left in the tank, really? I mean, honestly?
Can't be worse than Ebron.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I think he has a little potential still left in him. Whether it's like he was with the Saints or whether it was kind of like how he was with the Seahawks.
Yeah, we'll have to keep trying.
I don't know. Actually, one of the tight ends that I've been looking at lately is Antonio Gates.
God, really?
He's one of those.
For Detroit?
Yeah, him or at Dixon.
God, you guys are diving in the dumpster, dude.
Yeah, but, it can't be worse than Ebron, so.
You don't like a Martell?
Either that or we waste another first-round pick on another tight end, so.
Yeah, that was interesting. You think Martellus Bennett? You can get Martellus Bennett there.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him, but see how much he's asking for and go from there, too.
I like the Safarian Jenkins sign with the Jaguars. That'd be a good pickup for them, in my opinion. So we'll see what that one happens to happen. And I think the Patriots are going to cut Dwayne Allen He's making like $4 or $5 million, and I think he may have. We talked about him last year. He caught like 10 balls.
Yeah, it was about 10 or something.
What was what was his over under in the Super Bowl? Half a yard, and he didn't even get it.
Yeah, it was. I think it was half a yard or a yard and a half or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So
it was very low. Pretty much one catch would have probably got him there, but.
Yeah, well, he's probably going to get cut, in my opinion, by New England. So, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in, and you guys can catch us, like we said, on the Forward Mile Podcast Network at forwardmile.com. Check out the guys over there. So tell them we sent you. Subscribe, sign up, listen to us. Get your daily fix of daily fantasy sports if that's your thing. Very small fee to win a lot of money. I've been checking it out. Unfortunately, DFS is illegal here in Nevada for whatever fucking reason, but they provide
unfortunately
provide a lot of analysis and a lot of just sports insights. A lot of good stuff over there. So you can also listen to us live on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. They are definitely doing big things. You can catch a lot of the other shows over there. They're interviewing draft prospects. We tried to get our hands on some draft prospects, but unfortunately we're here on the West Coast. I guess the agency that represents all these guys is on the East Coast, and there are a lot of East Coast guys. So when I call them at, hey, I want to set up an interview for 9 o'clock my time, and it's midnight over there, they're not really feeling that. But you can listen to those guys.
Yeah.
You can listen to those guys over on some of the other stations or some of the other shows on that station, 12ozsportsradio.com, which you are probably listening on right now. So for that, we thank you as well. Definitely follow them on Twitter, 12 Ounce Sports. Definitely follow us on Twitter at Vegas Squares. We also want to thank Chai Poker, one of our sponsors, for kind of having our back. He's going to have a charity tournament at South Point Casino and Hotel here coming up in April. We'll have him on before that to kind of give you the details and discuss. So if you're in the Vegas area or going to be in the Vegas area during that time and want to play some charity poker for a good cause and come out and have some fun, we definitely would love for you to be interested. We definitely would love if you would come out to his charity event. Other than that, you can follow us on Twitter, like I said. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us at vegassquares@gmail.com. For Anthony, for the wonder, what do you call Spike? The Wonderlust? That's not the right word, right? The
bearded wonder.
The bearded wonder.
Bearded wonder.
There we go. The bearded wonder Spike, who is not with us today. And myself, Aaron, we appreciate you tuning in. It has been, we appreciate you tuning in. It's been a good day. Hopefully your brackets aren't getting busted by the next time we talk. Take care.
Yep, absolutely.
Have a good day.